Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now this is a bit of a bonus video for this week because I realised something. It's been a very long time since I've really kind of sat down and assessed the current state and situation of the upcoming Dragonball Super BROLY movie. You know, the one that's about to come out in about 2 months' time? Oh my god, it's really catching up with us. The clock's ticking, people. But the thing that really spurred me on to do this video were two things. One good thing and one somewhat bad thing. I mean, it's bad depending on how you want to look at it. The good thing is that I found out that eventually it is going to be coming out to other markets other than the US and Japan. The UK confirmed, Manga Entertainment did, that it's coming out in January as well. And then also there's the Macy's Parade. And I'll get onto why that's a bit of a concern later on. But back to the UK getting the release, and I know that a good amount of you are from the UK, and I just want to say that in terms of when exactly we're going to get it, that hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'm pretty sure it will closer to the time. But here's my best guess. I'm predicting it's going to be coming out between the 16th and the 23rd. One thing is for sure, it won't release before that, before the 16th. This isn't like a Marvel movie here, where sometimes in the UK and Europe we get it before America. We won't get that luxury. The basic layout is slowly coming together. And we've also heard reports that Toriyama had a lot more plans for this. There is going to be a sizable chunk of this movie dedicated to the origins of the Saiyans and their relationship with Frieza. All of this will ultimately lead up to Planet Vegeta being destroyed. This is just another interpretation or a reinterpretation by the original author himself. And it's going to completely tear apart our perception of Saiyans. Why? Because the Bardock special is now going to be just cast aside by the original creator, Akira Toriyama. And I must admit, this was a really shocking turn of events. And why is that, Masako? It's because Toriyama loved the Bardock special. He had been championing the bold and brash take that the original Toei team that came up with the Bardock special did for his character. He just had, here's a little excerpt that he had from the episode of Bardock special when that was coming out. He did a little kind of interview for it. And that special is nowhere near as significant or as loved. I had my hands full just with Dragon Ball's manga serialization, and I basically left the anime up to Toei Animation, so that sort of situation was rare. Perhaps it was because the content impinged upon the past of the main character that I was specially called upon to be involved a little bit with the character designs. Well, even calling it a design with regards to Bardock, all I really did was just take Goku and give him the brutal edge of a warrior race, and dress him in the battle armor provided by Frieza's forces, so I can't have gone to too much trouble. When I saw the finished episode, I remember feeling a good bit of admiration. With my works, I prefer light-hearted fare, so I have a tendency to avoid serious material. Even if I'd written about the same past, it would have become lighter in tone by far. Thanks to this, I felt as though even Dragon Ball had been given a little bit more depth. And he loved the character so much, he brought that character into the manga in a brief flashback. And if we know Toriyama really well, he loves his conveniences, so he must have adored this. So why the change? Perhaps now, with a little bit more free time, he's realised that maybe he was a little bit too hasty with trying to pawn the job over to other people. Since Toriyama doesn't have to do the daily or monthly manga duties anymore, he has a lot more free time to come up with character concepts. We know he can do well because look at what he came up with Caulifla. Caulifla? Man. I mean, I know she wasn't in the original draft of the superscript, but, you know, coming up with the goods, does really well. Still got it. But it meant that with the original characters and trying to update the story, he can go back to Bardock and then just do wholesale an original interpretation. So that's what Dragon Ball Minus was all about, to try and test the waters, as it were. And I think it's safe to say that it was met with mixed feelings at best. I personally don't mind it at all. I like a refreshing change of pace with Dragon Ball, but I do admit it does have some flaws. And you know what? I think after all the years of seeing the criticisms and the critiques and what he can improve upon, Toriyama recognises the fact that a half-hour or even a 20-minute segment of a movie could easily do so much more in explaining what he wants to do with Bardock nowadays than just a 20-page manga chapter. I think Toriyama's on a roll. I think he didn't just want to come up with a new Bardock, he wanted to come up with a new BROLY. And as we've seen time and time again, he was looking at BROLY and thinking, he's a cool character. He's very popular. I want to have a go at writing him. And so far, from what we've seen, And BROLY is another example of him having limited relationships with the character. He just basically came up with the original design. Having done this with Bardock, he does it with Broly, and so far things are looking great. The biggest issue with the original Broly, and I think you can all guess what I'm about to say, is that he was far too simplistic, even for a Dragon Ball movie. Toriyama is adding much more impetus and much more justification for resenting the likes of Goku and now Vegeta as well. Just even seeing Broly eating food in a way that looks like something that an organic person would do makes him so much more believable. Originally, I know that people were thinking, wait a minute, why is Broly working for Lord Frieza, it seems? Well, if Lord Frieza hates Saiyans and Broly doesn't like Saiyans anymore, then I think even just from watching the two trailers, this new Broly is just so much better because the original Broly was just basically a husk. Having gone through nearly 30 years of mental torture and constant powering up and down, those cycles just do so much havoc to someone's personality. They don't really exist anymore. They're just a tool. On the surface, this Broly seems to be like someone who gets along with his father Paragus. They both have a mutual desire to get revenge upon the Saiyan race, instead of Paragus trying to hold on to Broly for dear life to make sure he doesn't try and destroy a galaxy. And speaking of Paragus, the original reason why Broly is disposed by the Saiyan race is so much better as well. King Vegeta specifically is looking like he's going to be sending Broly out to a distant planet where he can be forgotten and he's just not any trouble anymore. This seems like something a really aloof king would do. And instead of Paragus just going like, and then just getting tossed aside as well, he actually does something about it, or from the looks of it, he's going to do something about it. Their relationship would be so much more cohesive, and the biggest thing out of all of this is that, you know how in Dragon Ball Minus it was talked about that babies, Saiyan babies, are kind of born and bred in test tubes, as it were? Well, they look quite soundproof. There isn't any chance at all that Kakarot is going to be screaming that will send Broly into an absolute rage. That whole thing isn't a thing anymore. And in fact, have you noticed that in the two trailers that we've gotten, we've not heard Broly say Kakarot once? That is a case of Toriyama and the director of the movie, Nagamine, showing that they are not resorting to all the tropes that Broly established. The fact that we've not heard Broly scream, Kakarot, is a really big signifier that this movie means business. Okay, Masako, you're talking about this. Why are you even worried? It sounds like you're giving it a glowing report. Yeah, you're right. You see, this movie is having to deal with something the other two new movies that we've gotten haven't had to deal with. There is so much more pressure. Battle of Gods had it easy in comparison. All it had to do was just exist, because we just go, oh hey, Dragon Ball movie. That's cool, I'll watch it. And then our expectations were like, and then when I first saw it and then just realized how fantastic it was, we were all blown away. For this third movie, we are getting so much more. From the looks of it, we're not getting a limited release. This is going to be a full worldwide release, eventually. It's not, set for just 1 week in the cinemas. And now Goku's going to be representing Dragon Ball in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And that is a big deal because that is the first ever manga character to ever be seen at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. He's not the first Japanese character to come out. That was Sonic the Hedgehog back in the 90s. So my initial concerns stem from the fact that this is going to be so much more pressure. Even though from what we've seen so far, it's been really, really good. If it doesn't deliver, and after all of this pressure, Dragon Ball could be seen as a joke. It could be seen as really meager. And all of this other thing. Not to mention that we've had so many spoilers come now, and the fact that the marketing in Japan is just so bad at keeping secrets. I'm not going to be going into them in great detail here because I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to spoil it for myself, but I've had it spoiled for me. And Japan, come on. Don't sell the merch and basically give it away. Come on. And more concerns stem from the fact that we're even getting Broly as the nemesis in the first place. It's a cheap plot. They are emulating their television division and choosing not to rock the boat with their iconic list of characters. And as we've talked about many times before, Dragon Ball characters aren't your everyday type of archetypes. They are icons, especially in Japan. You cannot change their formula. All you can do is rehash what's already been done and has proven to be popular. So if you went to go and change like Gohan, for example, or even Vegeta, try and change their things to make them a different character. That is a very, very big gamble. It could work out quite well, but odds are it'll change the interpretation of that character for many fans that grew up with that character, and they might not like that character anymore, and they might bounce from your franchise, and you don't want that because you want their money. It didn't matter with Battle of Gods, because Battle of Gods, there was nothing to lose, so therefore just put in Beerus, put in Whis. That paid off magnificently. And they're thinking, okay, we did well with that, okay, we don't need to do any more. Beerus was, yeah, that was a fluke. Yeah, that was a fluke. They really do not have any confidence in themselves. So the fact that this movie is essentially going to be exiling the Bardock special, it's a really sad day for a Dragon Ball fan. But it is really nice to see that Toriyama is taking much more of an interest in the original project that he came up with over 30 years ago, because recently he has shown to be really apathetic about it. Even though he and Toei are taking the easy way out when it comes to the narrative, they are not taking that way when it comes to the animation. They are taking a big gamble here. After 25 years of Yamamuro-esque designs, we are now getting something penned by Nagamine and all of the upcoming Toei animators to make something a bit fresher and easier to animate. I know that a lot of people have been thinking, well, we didn't have problems with Yamamuro until all these new YouTubers showed up and started to critique about it, but, you know, you gotta admit, it does look really cool, and Yamamuro's style in the 90s was fantastic. Fusion Reborn is just so gorgeous. It's really sad whenever I hear that Yamamuro, he doesn't watch new anime. He just sticks to Dragon Ball. He's just very insular. He doesn't branch out to look at all the modern trends and try and work that into Dragon Ball in some way, because you see the same shots time and time again, and this Super Dragon Ball Heroes thing, it's really showing that in sharp, brilliant quality. And I don't mean brilliant in a good way. It's actually part of the reason why I'm probably not going to be reviewing Super Dragon Ball Heroes anymore. You guys don't care. I don't really care. What will happen with Dragon Ball after this movie comes out? Is it going to get a new series? Possibly. You see, Geekdom recently brought out a video stating that there is going to be an 8th volume of the Dragon Ball Super manga. So after the Tournament of Power ends, that's not going to be the end of the manga, it's going to carry on. Toyotaro, from the looks of it, has been given much more briefs from Toriyama, and as we've heard, it turns out that the original idea for the movie, the BROLY movie, was going to be about 3 hours long, according to Toriyama. But Toei is cutting it essentially in half, maybe 2 hours, but it's going to be between 90 and 120 minutes. So if this manga continues, we might get to see the full uncut interpretation and story bullet points that we got from Toriyama. So a much more fleshed out BROLY arc, maybe? And if this movie turns out to be a big success, which is looking quite likely it will be, we will probably get an announcement by Toei that a new series of Dragon Ball Super, or whatever it's going to be called, probably in the next month after it comes out. So maybe January, late January, might get it in February, to have then a summer release in July. So maybe a 4-month lead-in time, which is more than we got with Super. So in answer to my original question, will the BROLY movie succeed? Yes, so long as it just doesn't really stick too long in the past, and it actually tries to fix and then elaborate on what Minus originally strove to set out. And as for me, I'm probably going to be seeing this movie a lot earlier than you guys, because I'm going to be going to Japan around Christmas time, and I'm going to be endeavouring to try and find a place where there are English subtitles where I can watch the BROLY movie. I don't know whether I'll be able to, but I will at least be able to watch it, even if I'm not able to understand it. I've got a friend who does know Japanese, so I'm going to do my best to try and report to you guys as soon as I've seen it and tell you what it's like. No spoilers will be had, and if you want to see daily vlogs from while I'm in Japan, or at least semi-daily vlogs, you'll be able to find it on my second channel. So look for that, but I will do a supercut on this channel as well. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for the BROLY movie, or do you have some reservations from what you've seen? Leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!